Watkins, and I wanted to come in and say hi to you guys today about and share some ideas that I was sort of preparing and thinking through as I get ready for the Wealth Summit at Bowie State University. I'm about to give a State of the Union address at Bowie, and apparently there are some people there who care deeply about wealth and Black wealth in particular, and I think that is absolutely amazing, and I love that, and I'm very proud of the individuals at Bowie. The URL for the Wealth Summit, it's going to be on February 1st, if I'm not mistaken, is thewealthsummit.org, thewealthsummit.org. And I want to give them a shout out for the great work that they're doing out there at Bowie. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about DEI. Right now, there's a lot of response and trepidation to the reversals of the Trump administration regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the truth of the matter is that this is a long time coming. There was kind of a backlash, a big movement against DEI, which is connected to affirmative action. It's not exactly the same. I think affirmative action was a little more effective and a little more specific to our people. And I didn't have a problem with either program. I actually am a fan of any form, anything that promotes some type of diversity. I would say, as a black man, though, one of the things that I did have an issue with, though, was the fact that it seems that they got to the point where diversity didn't really mean black people anymore as much as it meant, white women, gay people, trans, things like that. And then they would even bring people from other countries to replace African Americans. And they'd say, oh, we have people of color here. And it would be, maybe the nice Asian guy on the third floor. And I thought that was disingenuous for black people because black people in America, African Americans, those who are descendants of slavery, have made contributions to this country that cannot be denied. We've been around since slavery. We built this country, and I personally think that America owes a debt specifically to our people. Give me a yes in the chat if you agree. Again, let me know. Let's just see if we're on the same page with that. How many of you believe that African American people are owed a debt in this country? Give me a yes if you believe that, and also give me a yes if you agree that corporations need diversity. I think that diversity matters. I think it's good for business. I think diversity is owed to society, and we don't have enough of it, right? So, if you want to know if I'm a fan of DEI, the answer is absolutely yes. And I'm not Democrat or Republican. I don't vote for either party, but I do believe that DEI is important. And in fact, when I got my job on the faculty at Syracuse University, where I taught for many years, I was kind of a diversity hire. I was the only African American on the planet to get a PhD in finance during the year 2002, but universities still weren't hiring black people because the racism is very real, the exclusion is real, the pushing of black people out is very real, the not allowing black people into these institutions is very, very real. An issue that and Elon Musk isn't going to understand this, but maybe he does understand because he did grow up in apartheid, and I think that that does affect his thinking. Again, I don't even hate the guy or like the guy. I own Tesla stock. There are things I can tell you that I think that he's doing that are good, but then everybody has their bias. I don't think Elon Musk is your friend, but then again, I don't think Joe Biden is your friend either because he incarcerated more black men than any president in recent American history. So my belief at the end of the day, if you want to know where I stand, is that I don't believe black people have any friends. All right, so let's dig deeper, right? So here's the thing about DEI. DEI is DEAD right now. There's a slogan, DEI must DIE, and whether I agree with it or not doesn't matter. But this has actually taken over, and now the White House is very clear that they don't support DEI. But here's the thing. I think that this is an opportunity for us to really address who we are. I think this is a chance for us to chin check ourselves and to basically take a step back and say, what are we made of? What are we committed to? Where do we go from here? And here's the thing. Um, there's a new DEI. There's a type of DEI that they don't tell you about. There's another type of DEI that doesn't get discussed. There's another type of DEI that I've always believed in that has not ever really gotten the attention of our people because we were busy chasing black jobs and not chasing black wealth. We were trying to get inclusion and get a seat at someone else's table, but we didn't talk about building our own table. There was distraction from powernomics because we wanted to do strugglenomics. We enjoyed the idea of being in a space where we're not welcome and fighting for our seat at the table, fighting for our voice to be heard, fighting for someone to acknowledge us. And I personally think that that's beneath us. I'm not going to lie. I think that we deserve better than that. I think that we are people who can acknowledge ourselves. So my version of DEI stands for, it's very simple, stands for development, entrepreneurship, and investment. Development, entrepreneurship, and investment. If you want to talk about DEI that I believe in, and this is the DEI I've always believed in, this is the DEI that Malcolm X believed in. You talk about what it takes to actually build a table, because if you build a table and you own the table, then no one has to invite you to sit at the table. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you built the damn table and it's your table, you don't have to ask for permission to sit at the table. I have a kitchen table in our house, and if you want to sit at my table, you have to ask me because I'm the head of the household, or you have to ask my wife. You can't come in my house and say, "Well, this is our table. We're going to let Negroes sit at the table if they behave. We're going to let Negroes sit at the table if they eat what we feed them. We're going to let Negroes at the table as long as they don't get out of line." Do you understand? Like no, no, no. This is my table, so you're gonna have to behave for me. You're gonna have to do what I say. We make the rules up in here, and so when you're talking about DEI, DEI to me does not stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It never did. DEI stands for development, entrepreneurship, and investment. What does the development mean? The development means that in order to have real power in America, you've got to build it, you've got to create it, you've got to develop that. You cannot pretend to have power. You cannot borrow someone else's power. If I have this light switch, see, we got a lot of shiny Negroes that they put on TV. I call them the shiny Negroes because we think that they're powerful because they're on TV. The ditties, up there dancing and doing the whole show tunes kind of thing, the minstrel show. And with the shiny Negroes look like they have power. And you thought Diddy had power for many years. And now, as you see Diddy falling, you realize Diddy never had power. Diddy, the shiny Negroes are like this lamp. This lamp is very shiny. And if you don't understand how electricity works, if you don't understand how power works, you would think that this lamp had a lot of power. But if you understand electricity, if you understand power, then what you'd realize is that this lamp never had any power. This lamp, if you unplug this lamp from the power source, then this lamp will go dark. This lamp turns off. If I unplug it from the power source, then the lamp has no power. So the lamp never had any power in the first place. The lamp was plugged into a power source that gave it power. So if you're looking for power, if you're looking for energy, if you're looking for electricity, you don't go to the lamp. You got to go to the source. And one of the things that I think happens in America, when we don't understand economics, when we don't develop, there's that D, when we don't develop our children properly and develop them to understand where the source of the power is, then we can make the mistake of thinking that the illusion of power is the same as actually having real power. We think that the shiny Negroes on TV are the ones who are dancing and singing and making money, rapping about murdering black people, or the ones who are in our favorite movie. We think that they have power, and we don't understand. No, Hollywood is a multi-billion-dollar industry where the real power is coming from the people who are writing the checks. The real power in Hollywood comes from the people who are able to build the studios, the people who spent the time developing the business institution that underlies all of this stuff that you're seeing. Do you understand? Let me know if you're following what I'm saying. So when you talk about DEI, development, entrepreneurship, and investment, that is the only pathway to true power. That is the only pathway to true power. And what America did to you, it ain't your fault. You got tricked. A lot of us got tricked. I got tricked for a long time. I'm 53 years old. I probably thought differently when I was 23. Where America tricked you is America made you think that you could have real power by having proximity to power. They thought you could be a real parent by being an economic babysitter. I don't care how many children you babysit. You could babysit 10 million children, but you will never be a parent because you didn't do the work. Sure, you have access to the kids. Sure, you get the parenting experience. Sure, you have special skills that you develop when it comes to nurturing children. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you ain't a mother. You're not a mother. A person who babysits children is not a mother. A man who babysits children is not a father. The process of becoming a real mother and a real father and having real deep, significant roots to the child involves probably about 187,600 hours of continuous labor required to raise that child from the age of 0 to the age of 18. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to put in the work. You got to put in the time. You must make the investment consistently over time to develop that child. And then when the child is 30 years old, they're gonna show up at your deathbed and say, "That's my mama, that's my daddy." When my mother took her last breath this year on Christmas Eve, My sister and my brother and I were all around her bedside because my mother had put in hundreds of thousands of hours into developing us as human beings, and she had invested in us. And I'm not talking about money. See, don't forget this. When I talk about investing, I'm usually not talking about money. I'm talking about all the things that are more important than money. So when you're talking about getting real power in America, you will not have real power unless you make an investment. You cannot have power without a sacrifice. You cannot have power without putting in the time, putting in the work. And this work typically takes many, many decades. The NFL is a very powerful institution, is it not? Give me a yes if you agree with me that the NFL is a very powerful institution. And if I were to add up and say, give me the total value of all NFL teams combined, it would be a massive number. It would be probably, I'm guessing, over $100 billion, perhaps. The Dallas Cowboys is the most valuable team at $10 billion. If I was to add up the economic value of all 32 teams in the NFL, the total would be $190 billion. $190 billion is a tremendous amount of economic power. Now, what's fascinating is that if you talk about black wealth and the 1.6 trillion that we spend every year, most of which that we give away, most of that power that we give away to others because we're trying to fit in, we're trying to integrate. Well, we could actually buy the NFL 5 times every year. Y'all do know that, right? Actually, what's that? 6 times, so maybe seven, actually almost 8 times. We could actually buy the NFL 8 times a year if with the income that we spend on new cars and Jordans or fast food or cell phones or fried chicken or whatever we spend our money on, bottles of Cavassier at the club, whatever we spend money on. Like so that's just a little economic tidbit for you. For anybody that comes up to me and tells me black people don't have any wealth, I just turn back and I say, well, we actually could buy the NFL 8 times a year if we wanted to, right? You can't do that, but theoretically we could. So stop telling me black people ain't got no money. Stop telling me black people don't have any wealth. Stop telling me that black people don't have any capacity or ability for power. You don't like wealth. What you do like is you like unity. You don't like economics. You like vision. What you don't like resources. You actually like training and development. You actually like DEI. So you thought you had DEI because they told you it stood for diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you never had real DEI, which stands for development, entrepreneurship, and investment. Your community, in order for you to have real economic power in this country, in order for you to call the shots, build the tables, or build the doors that you're trying to walk through, you're going to have an army of entrepreneurial young people that are going to get it done. You have to have a community built on the idea of putting in the work, putting in the time, developing the institutions, getting it done, starting with nothing, starting from the bottom. Now we hear not shiny Negroes propped up on top of something, some rapper or some comedian or some basketball player who's sitting on top of an institution that somebody else built. Do you understand? Do you understand the difference between standing on the stage and building the stage? Do we understand? Do you understand the difference between being propped up by the institution versus building the institution brick by brick from the ground up? Do you understand the difference? Because sometimes we don't understand that. Sometimes we think, and this is what DEI does. DEI says that somebody who has an institution, who built the damn thing, who built the movie studio, who built the record label, who built the NBA team, integrates you. They say, boy, you are mighty fine, boy. You a good boy. I thinks I'm gonna create some opportunity for you, son, because you're a good boy. You're so well behaved, and I like you. I like you. You're a credit to your race, son. Let me integrate you. And we like, thank you, sir. Thank you, Ball. I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me a seat at the table. Your DEI program is excellent, sir. And then one day he just wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and says, you know, DEI sounded good when I started the program because, I want to be nice and help these people. But now you're getting a little bit too much power. Now you're getting too big for your britches, boy. Now you're walking around here like you own the place. I walks in the kitchen, and you forget this is my house. You think it's our house. You use the word our when talking about the institution that I own and I built. And I walked in the kitchen and I saw you standing in the kitchen in your drawers drinking Kool-Aid out the jug. Nobody does that in my house except for me, boy. Like what's wrong with you? So I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and get you out of here because we don't have space for you anymore. So what tends to happen is that corporations will start the DEI programs and they'll have some nice little statement. You know, it's usually BS. It'll say, we support diversity, equity, and inclusion, blah, 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 right? And then they don't really do it. They don't really believe it, but they're like, we're going to do it because it's the law. And then they'll bring in black people, and there's always a ceiling. Tell me if you've ever seen this. There's always a ceiling. Most black people only get to a certain level. There's only a certain number of us that they actually will allow on the boat. Only a certain number. Once they get more than 7 or 8%, studies show this. Once they get more than 7 or 8% black control in an institution, they start to freak out. They start to get white flight, and they start to plucking you out of there because they're like, wait a minute. First, you were a charity case. We loved you when you were a charity case, but we don't like you when you're a competitor, right? We brought you in because we wanted to help you. We don't want you around if you're trying to eat the big piece of chicken like we are. You're gonna have to fight us for that. So this is what happens. DEI, unfortunately, again, I'm not against it. I'm all for it. Diversity, inclusion, equity, affirmative act. All those things are fine. I have nothing against those terms, but I never believed it in the first place because it was a damn economic version of a freaking Disney movie. That's what it was. It was a Disney movie. Why? Well, because what it's telling you is it's leading you to the assumption that some of the most greedy, corrupt, ambitious, nasty, competitive, economically exploitative people in the history of the world, meaning the white man. Y'all know what he did in Africa. That suddenly he was gonna be nice enough to really share his power with you and share it openly and willingly, unconditionally, and perpetually. You thought this stuff was gonna last forever. You didn't realize that this is a temporary thing. This is like a football game. I just watched the Eagles kick the hell out of the Washington Commanders. I forget, they used to be Redskins, now they're Commanders, and which is sounds weird, but anyway, I just watched the Eagles beat the crap out of the Washington Commanders, and never once did the Eagles say, we're just kicking your ass so bad. We're gonna give you a couple touchdowns just to give you a chance to win the game. We're going to hit, Saquon Barkley gets the ball. He says, "Hey, here, take the ball, man. I feel bad that y'all haven't scored for a while." And because we believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion, we want to have a diverse representation inside the end zone. So we want to include you and have equity in the game. So here's the ball. You can run. Go ahead and run. It feels good to run the ball down the field. No, Saquon didn't do that. Saquon's like, no, if you want to be like me, you got to earn it. If you want what I got, you got to be able to do what I can do. I can jump over people backward and sprint past them and twist them and break their ankles. Can you do that? You can't do that. So you lose, son. You get second place. And this is the real world. This is the real world. See, I believe that part of the effort of America, I believe that America is a country that doesn't really want black men in the country. I don't think they want black men in the country. They want people who look like men. They want bearded babies. They want men who have the beards and the big muscles and everything, but they don't really want black men in the country because men are scary. Men are competitive. Men, we growl at each other. We fight for territory, right? They don't want black men. They want black boys in America. They want 50-year-old boys. They want black girls. They want black men that'll put on a wig and a dress. They want the black men who are also submissive. They're like, well, you can be here as long as you understand that we're the alpha and you're the beta, as long as we're the winner and you're the second, then at that point, we got plenty of DEI for you. Here's a bowl of DEI. Here, boy, eat. It ain't as good as what I'm eating because I'm eating good. I'm eating the Elon Musk salad and the Donald Trump steak and the the Bill Gates shish kebab, right? I'm eating that. That's how we're eating. We're eating at the 50 100 billion dollar mark. We're building rocket ships to Mars. We're building skyscrapers. We're doing, but you can be part of the DEI program. And what you can do is you can be my sidekick. I'm gonna be Batman and you're gonna be Robin. And it works best. It really works best if you're not really a real man. They don't want your black son to be a real man. They want your black son to be a DEI baby. Oh, well, thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate you clearing a spot at the table for me. Thank you so much. It's such an honor. And then when they get tired of you, or when the resources run short, or when the pressure gets too hot or too difficult, you've seen, to give me a yes if you've noticed, how many companies, the minute DEI became unpopular, the minute carrying you on the boat became an issue, what did they do? What did most companies do? They flipped your black ass off the boat. They said, I'm sorry, at this point, son, you're dead weight. We wanted to help you, but we can't because it's going to cost us too much money. So you can proceed to getting the hell up out of here right now. That's what they did. They instantaneously, immediately, Duke University, all these schools and institutions and corporations and businesses, these institutions basically said, yeah, about that DEI thing, we're not gonna do that anymore because yeah, you just we didn't even really want to do it anyway. But now we really got to stop. Right? So good luck to you, though. Good luck, Tyrone. I wish you the best. And now, mind you, there are some exceptions. I want to give a shout out. I got to give a shout out to Costco. I've owned stock in Costco for a long time, and Costco actually stood by their DEI programs, which I think is great. Costco is just a good company. They are a good corporate citizen in the sense that they are known for paying their employees well, treating their workers in a way that's equitable. I love that company. So God bless Costco. I think Costco is great. But here's the thing about Costco, though. I saw Al Sharpton did a nice little like buy-in or something with the National Network for Costco. They deserve it. Yeah, why not? I mean, sure, ain't nothing wrong with Costco. But here's the thing about Costco. Costco is a great company, but it's still not a black-owned business. Do you understand? A buy-in at a Costco is not as effective as a buy-in at a black-owned business because in one case, you're saying thank you, sir, for allowing us to still have a seat at your table. But in the black-owned business, you're saying, hey, why don't we do a real DEI program, some development, entrepreneurship, and investment, and really build this damn table? See, you got to understand, I need y'all to understand something fundamentally true about energy. Every morning, by the way, I teach a class on financial consciousness. It's the Millionaire Training Camp. It's free. Anybody can join. Just go to drboyceelevate.com, drboyceelevate.com, where you can text the word morning, MORNING, to the phone number 87948, 87948. Text morning to 87948, and I'll invite you because it's for everybody. But here's what you got to understand about economic consciousness. You have to really protect your energy, your spiritual energy and your economic energy, and you got to be thoughtful about where you're targeting that energy. And here's what I see when I'm seeing us fighting for DEI, which again, nothing wrong with that. I'm not fighting against those who are fighting DEI. I promise you I'm not. But I want you to really process this and ask yourself or realize something. I believe that it's just as hard, it takes just as much energy to fight for a seat at someone else's table as it takes to actually do the work to build your own table. I do. I believe that it's in one case, you're fighting for a seat at a table and it's hard and it's exhausting and it's humiliating. It's degrading. You're like, well, why am I on my knees and the white man standing on his feet? Why am I down low and he's up high? Why is he 6'5" and I'm looking like Gary Coleman right now? Why is this, mama? Why does the world operate like this? This does not make sense to me. And that's difficult. That's draining. That's exhausting. Most of you know what I'm talking about because most of you struggle in our Black Financial Therapy department in the Black Business School. My wife is a PhD level therapist. She's very good. She's one of the best on earth at what she does. One of the things that we realize is that there's a lot of trauma that you experience in the workplace just from how badly you're treated. Did y'all know this? Did y'all know that just the way the crap you go through, the mistreatment, the micro racism or microaggression, the dismissal, being passed over for promotions, that stress and frustration, and you have to bottle it all in because somebody told you a long time ago that being too black and too loud about what you're going through, screaming too much about your pain is going to make you into a dangerous Negro, and then therefore you will be booted out of the system immediately. Take it from a dangerous Negro myself. Take it from a guy who wasn't quiet. I got booted out of a lot of situations. I was like Smokey on Friday. I would get fired on my day off because when they see me coming, they got rid of me. And I was super qualified. I was more qualified than all the white people, but that was back when I believed that qualification was the difference maker, and it's really not. Okay, so that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy. Begging takes energy. So in my book, and this was my own personal conclusion, I said, well, it takes a lot of energy for me to go beg for a seat at the table. So Why don't I just take that energy and put that energy into building a table? Right? I mean, really, if you're gonna work hard at something, if you're gonna stress yourself out, why not stress yourself out building something that's going to last, as opposed to begging for something that could be taken away from you in a second? Do you follow what I'm saying? I mean, if you're gonna put energy out there, why not put your energy into building something that's gonna give you generational legacy, as opposed to begging for something and working for something that's gonna give legacy to somebody else? Why would you? If you're gonna put in, if you work, think about this. If you go to work every day and you work about 50 hours a week, because you spend 8 hours at the job, but you got an hour back and forth getting ready for work, coming home from work, all that stuff. So 10 hours a day, 50 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, 2 weeks of vacation. That's what they give you in America. So that's what, 2,500 hours a year over a decade. That's 25,000 hours of labor. 25,000 hours of labor. That's a lot of time. Okay. 25,000 hours of labor over a 40-year working career. That's 100,000 hours of labor. And that's actually that's a conservative estimate, because most of you work 50 years. Most black people work 50 years, not 40. But if you work 40 years, let's say you can retire, 65, like a lot of people can't. That's 100,000 hours of labor that you've put into building an institution for somebody else. That's 100,000 hours of labor that you put into not something that's going to help you thrive, but something that's going to help you survive, right? That's 100,000 hours of labor that you put into not just building legacy for someone else and just surviving, but also there's a lot of stress and drain and letting go of your dreams, right? Your dreams don't matter anymore. All that matters is the dream of the person that you work for. Your vision has no influence. It's the vision of the visionary that started the company that you work for. That's the vision, right? Your vision is not your vision. Your vision is the one that's held by UPS or whatever company you work for, right? So to me, here's the deal. Here's what I'm saying. Do you get, let me know if you get what I'm saying. If you're gonna do the work, why not do the work in a way that's really gonna give you what you're looking for? That's really gonna give you real power. Why not flip DEI on its head? So in my mind, DEI never stood for diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI stood for development, entrepreneurship, and investment. If I'm putting my 100,000 hours of labor into developing something, then not only am I building something for myself, I'm building something for others. I pay the bills for about 20 or 25 people every month. There's a couple of dozen people for whom I've been able to make their lives better every month because I am their employer, if you will, boss, whatever you want to call me, right? Um, Development might mean also, what skills are we developing in our children? I believe that our children are misled. I believe that we cheat them and we trick them and we exploit them, we harm them when we never teach them the skills to actually create something of their own. I believe that there's also a cultural problem. I wrote about this in my book. My book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can go to drboycebooks.com if you want to get a copy. It's also on Amazon. The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. And one thing I pointed out in this book, and this is from the research we did in our Black Financial Therapy department in the Black Business School, is that there is a cultural problem that leads you to think that one path is the optimal path when it's really the most dangerous path. So you think that the path of the go to school, get a job, go deep in student loan debt, you think that's the optimal path, when really that is the path that has the most potholes. That's the path that has the most landmines. That's the path that blows up in your face. Because, well, why? Well, because what happens is that you get comfortable on that path, and it seems really nice, and it comes overnight, and suddenly you've got this power and status and everything else because someone gave it to you. But what you forget is that someone can do a rug pull and take it all away from you overnight, just like Trump and his friends did when they removed DEI. I know people that have built entire careers around DEI, and I respect these people. These are very smart people. But the problem, though, is that now that credential, I don't know what that's worth. I don't know what corporation, what big white company or big white university is really going to pay you what you're worth to come and bring that skill to the table. I'm sure you can do other things. I have a lot of respect and belief in your ability to proceed and move forward. But I would encourage you to understand that even though we've been trained to believe that building a business and investing are risky, it's actually having a job that is the most risky economic move you can ever make. When you have a job, if your employer decides that they don't want you no more, a lot of people are done. A lot of people are fried. They don't know what to do. They're stuck. And so understanding basic economic principles at an early age, which is what we should be teaching our kids, would teach them about diversification. It would teach them about risk assessment. It would teach them about the basic ideas, multiple streams of income, multiple streams of income, multiple streams of income. If you got multiple streams of income because you've been making investment and you develop an economic system, your DEI, development, entrepreneurship, and investment, you've been developing a system of multiple streams of income because you're entrepreneurial in your thinking and you're investing in you, investing in us, investing in we, investing in this, then guess what? It's much, much harder for you to go under when there's some sort of an economic problem. It's much harder for you to go bankrupt if there's an economic shock. It's very difficult. Like I'll give you a real life example that'll kind of lay it out and help you understand this. So a lot of people, how many of you have heard, let's talk about Trump since everyone talks about Trump a lot. Anybody heard people talk about him going bankrupt 6 times or something like that? They're like, oh, he can't be a good businessman because he went bankrupt 6 times, right? Anybody heard that? Now, again, I'm not here to claim Donald Trump is a great businessman. I don't think he's ethical. I think that he's in boxing and all these other corrupt industries, right? So I'm not here carrying that flag for him at all. I would not do that. I would not do business with him. But what's interesting to me is that when everyone said, yeah, he went bankrupt 6 times, so that clearly means he doesn't have any money, he doesn't understand finances, and that was a problem for me because I said, well, you don't understand what it means when a billionaire that runs hundreds of companies has a bankruptcy. Like you don't understand. Like I get it. I understand what you're thinking. You're thinking about what happens when Sally down the street, the single mom who works at Ford, goes bankrupt. That's what you're thinking about personal bankruptcy. And you're right. Sally's in a really risky, vulnerable position. She's the only breadwinner in her house, and she's only got one stream of income, and she doesn't have any savings, any investment, no real estate, no nothing. So if she goes bankrupt, then that's bad. That's really bad, right? Like she's kind of fried. But when you run 400 businesses and 6 of them go bankrupt, that's a different kind of situation. You got 400 streams of income. You lost six. Do y'all understand the difference? Do you understand? I'm not trying to say Trump is some good guy. I don't get into that. I'm trying to tell you that this really speaks to the fact that we could probably benefit tremendously by expanding our economic thinking and kind of knowing what it really means to be financially secure. It is very difficult to be financially secure when you're living paycheck to paycheck with one stream of income. You do understand this. One step toward financial security is get married or get a partner or get somebody you trust that's also making money with you so you have 2 streams of income. That right there increases your financial security by 100%. You're now 100% more financially secure, assuming you don't date broke men or lazy women, right? You're 100% more financially secure just because you got another breadwinner in the house. Do you get what I'm saying? And then when you learn entrepreneurial thinking, the real DEI, development, entrepreneurship, and investment, then you get 5 or 6 multiple streams of income. You've got real estate over here. You got your stock options you're selling over there. You got your small business you're working on with your cousin over here. And then you've got many, many streams of income coming in. And then you're plowing that money into saving and investing and the ownership of capital. And then at that point, you're actually quite safe financially. I mean, you can't be a fool. You can't go out and be stupid with your money, but you're in a much better position than the person who leans on one stream of income from their DEI, from their little black job that may be dried up at any moment, right? Like that's a lot of load to carry. My wife actually did a workbook on financial anxiety, and if you're experiencing financial anxiety, which is a severe mental health issue, we do research on this in our Black Financial Therapy department. She has a whole book, a workbook on how to work through that. If you go to drboycebooks.com, you can go take a look at that. There's a whole section with my wife's stuff. So drboycebooks.com. This is real stuff. This is based on science because I don't want you to feel anxious. I don't want you to feel unhappy, and I certainly don't want that for your kids. I don't. I don't, and I'm gonna tell you again. I'm not here to speak negatively about DEI. I was technically pretty much a DEI hire when I got my job at Syracuse, and it wasn't because I wasn't qualified. I was more qualified than everyone else on the faculty. I was the only African American on the entire planet to get a PhD in finance in the year 2002. So I was hot shit. I was the number 1 draft pick, and I was the McDonald's All American. So don't you can't tell me that they gave me anything because that I wasn't qualified for. But even at that point, even though I had all the skills, all the qualifications, there was something about that institution where every single academic department, for the most part, did not want to hire black people. And this this it really speaks to the racial narrative of America. These were people in the North. This wasn't deep South Alabama. This wasn't Mississippi. This wasn't Texas. This was New York. New York. And even in New York, I went up there and I said, how in the hell is it that you have almost 100 faculty members in the entire business school across all your departments and you haven't found one African American qualified to be here? This tells me that you have an undiagnosed mental illness called racism, this undiagnosed mental illness that you have not addressed. And because you think the way that you do, which makes sense to me when given because I know where all the bodies are buried. I know what your ancestors did. You want to blame it all on us. You want to look at us and say, well, the reason we don't you ever hear anybody give me a guess if you ever heard anybody say this? Well, we love to hire African Americans. We just can't find any qualified black people anywhere. We don't know where the qualified black people are. We search high and low, and there's no black people who want to get up and go to work and who know how to do the job. Shut up. Just shut up. Shut up. Stop your damn lying before I kick you in your mouth because that's nonsense. We got millions of black folks out here that are very qualified, extremely hardworking, extremely disciplined, and deeply committed. Every black man out here ain't no rapper, basketball player, comedian, or buffoon. But millions of black men and women work hard every day. Black women are on top of their game. So stop that. Stop with the nonsense. Right? But that's what they'll do. They'll feed you something that is entirely illogical, something that makes absolutely no sense. They literally will try to get you to believe that there is a job that 100 white men have done, but there's not one qualified Negro on the planet who can do that same job. That is BS, absolute BS. And so what this speaks to, and what this always said to me is, this is why I didn't believe in DEI. I said because if you really wanted to diversify the way you say that you do, you would have done that. It's very easy. I got 10 friends I could call that you could hire. I sat there when I was on the faculty of Syracuse and I brought in a black woman, or I encouraged her to apply for one of the departments. This black woman had all the credentials. She was on top of her game. She was very focused. She knew what her research area was. She was a great teacher. And she did all the interviews, went through all the bells and whistles, and then they said, "Thank you very much." She went home. She never heard from anybody. No one called her at all. It's 6 months later. I said, "But did they give you the job? They said they need black people." She said, "No, nobody called me." So it was the secretary who got on the phone with her and told her, "I'm sorry, you didn't get hired." And she's like, "Well, why didn't I? What did I do wrong?" And they said, "Well, because you weren't a good fit." What the hell does that mean? They- what that tells me is that you weren't a good fit because you didn't have the complexion for the connection. What that says to me is that we live in a world where we have this reality that we refuse to acknowledge, which is that culturally speaking, people tend to want to be around people like themselves. That's just what it is. And if you're white, you don't feel bad. I mean, I'm not calling you racist, but I think most people want to be around people that look like them. That's just a reality. In fact, if I come out the closet and tell a little secret, I like working around black people because I understand black people more. Some of y'all white folks don't make no sense to me. I don't understand why y'all love Seinfeld so much. It was never funny to me. But it was hilarious to you, and I respect that. But it just didn't get me like that. And so the point of the matter is to say that this is the world that you live in. We want to socially engineer a world where everybody is treated the same and everybody is just happy for everyone else and everybody loves it when they see a black man coming down the street trying to take their job. I don't think we live in that world. I don't. I believe we live in a world of competition. I believe we live in a world where money is power. I believe we live in a world where black people, because of your history in America, you don't really have any true friends. I believe we live in a world where both the liberals and the conservatives will dump you off the bus in a second. They will leave you hanging out the dry. They will push you off the boat as soon as you get too heavy. As soon as somebody tells them that they can't have you on the boat. As soon as they start getting punished for carrying you around, they're not ride or die with you. Ain't nobody ride or die with you. Ain't nobody out here really trying to go to war with you and have your back and protect you, even at the expense of their own family. But I think that we're the opposite. I think that we've been trained, we've been conditioned as black people. I believe we've been conditioned to fight harder for other people than we would even fight for ourselves. I believe we've been trained to stand on the front lines and take bullets for other people. I believe somebody taught us that. Like we will go out and we will fight for a Mexican immigrant that comes from a place in Mexico where they don't even like black people. We don't even know this. Like these are things we just don't know. Like we don't know that when you go to South America and Central America, y'all don't understand that you do know. Like when I was in Colombia, uh, you do know in Colombia when I was there, went to Medellin to visit my brother. Do you know that they have a white side of town and a black side of town? How many of y'all knew that? Give me a yes if you knew that. Like everybody who was raised to believe like we're all the same, black brown coalition, Al Sharpton stuff, right? How many of you knew that like if you go to a place like Columbia, if you go to the white neighborhood, it's very, very nice. The restaurants are very fancy and everyone lives pretty well. Streets are safe, all that good stuff. And you don't see any black people. So you would think all the Colombians were pretty much like white people. But then you go to the black side of town, oh, it turns into the hood real fast. It's like, crime and poverty and everything else. And the only time the black people, when I was in Medellin, the only time the black people will come to the white side of town is when they were begging for money or working for the people on that side of town. Like y'all do understand that driving Miss Daisy is a concept that exists all around the world. It ain't just the United States. So when someone comes to me and they say we got to fight for the immigrants, we got to fight, I'm like, yeah, okay, the Haitian immigrants, yeah, I get that. But when you're talking about people that came across the border in Texas, I'm not saying I have anything against those individuals. I'm just saying I want my piece of chicken first. I'm not saying that those are bad people. I'm just saying, okay, so if they come into my country, what would happen if I go into their country illegally? Are they going to treat me exactly the same? Like, are they going to fight for me, march for me, pray for me, give me things that they need for their own family, or is it just kind of a one-sided situation that somebody fed to me? So here's what my belief is. I'm very clear about this. When I tell you what DEI stands for me, when it stands for development, entrepreneurship, and investment, DEI, they have this slogan where they say DEI must DIE. And then Diddy used the word DIE when he said vote or DIE, like if you don't vote, you're going to die. Well, I've got a new slogan. I'm gonna lay it out here. Um, DEI or you will economically DIE. If you don't embrace the real DEI, then economically you're gonna be dead. Dr. Claude Anderson, in his book Powernomics, said that if black people don't learn to invest in themselves, build their businesses, and make investments in their community, their families, and each other, then you're going to be a permanent economic underclass by the year 2013. And in case you haven't noticed, we are 12 years past the deadline. So based on what Dr. Anderson was saying in the 90s, it's already done. A big chunk of the community is already fried. Like there's no coming back for some people. But for those of you that are listening right now, I believe there's a chance. I believe that those of you that can embrace new principles, the real DEI, development, entrepreneurship, and investment, there's a lot of hope for you. There's a lot of possibility. There's nothing. Getting a seat at the table is not a secure spot. Someone can take that away from you. But if you build your own table, then not only is that a wonderful feeling, but you also um, know that seat is yours. It's hard for somebody to take something from you that you built and that you actually own. And in America, in American capitalism, if you don't own something, then there's a very good chance that something owns you. So that's my 2 cents. That's my belief. I believe that the real DEI, the one that they really can't stop, that if we embrace it for this generation, we will win, is development, developing businesses and developing children that can start businesses, developing children that have the right economic mindset, developing children that are prepared for the future, entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial mindset, build your own, start your own. Don't beg for a seat at the table, you build a damn table. Don't let me through the door. I'm over here building a door. In fact, not only am I building a door, I'm so busy building a door, I don't even have time to listen when you tell me that you open your door. There's a lot of doors that opened for me when I became rich and famous and successful. I didn't even think about opening. I'm like, why would I go through your door when I'm building the door? I got 10 doors that I'm deciding who to let into the door. I don't really want to go through your door. What makes you think that I'm subordinate to you? If you offering me a door, Mark Zuckerberg, then what the hell is it? Why can't I offer you a door? Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't care if I offered him a door because Mark Zuckerberg's like, I got a door. I built a door. It's called Facebook. What door did you build? So we need people that are gonna build doors, and that means that the development piece is critical. Development takes time and consistent investment in something that is real, that is solid, that's going to last. The NFL is worth $190 billion. But if you go back 110 years, you could have bought the Chicago Bears for $200. You could have bought the Detroit Lions for less than $1,000. You could have bought the New York Giants for $500. Now those companies are worth a collective $190 billion. Why? Well, because they had their own DEI program. They did the DEI. They did the development. They did the consistent investment. They were thinking entrepreneurially. They didn't get distracted by black jobs, white jobs, green jobs, purple jobs, diversity jobs. They didn't get distracted by jobs. They focused on building for the next generation, and now their children are rich. Now, all of their kids will never have a financial problem. They'll never have to beg for a seat at the table. They're the ones who sit there at the throne and decide who's going to sit at our table, because now our table has received so much investment, so much energy, so much development that everybody wants a seat at this table. And I'm the king of the damn table, and this is my throne. This is my crown. You can't take that away from me. You're going to have to beg for a piece of this, and I'm going to give you whatever I feel like giving you. That's what power looks like. That's what power looks like. So there was no power in the original DEI as they designed it. The original DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, was never power. It was a substitute for power. It was proximity to power. It was temporary power. It was conditional power. It was never real power. You thought you had power because you sat next to the powerful person. So instead of learning how to be the assistant to the king, how about we learn how to be the damn king? But to be the king and to be the queen and to have the real power, you got to pay the price. There are no shortcuts. This is not a job for short-sighted, short attention span, flashy Negroes who don't want to do the work. This is not a job for people that want to spend so much time shining that they have no substance beneath the shine. This is not a task for shallow people. This is a task for people that understand the job and are committed to the assignment and are willing to do the work for the kids, that are willing to quietly grind away, build, invest, add on, develop, and then in the next generation, that's when somebody shines, because you built the damn stage. Development takes time. Investment takes time. People who tell you that you can get it overnight, that you can get it fast because you got a record deal or an NFL contract or some sort of comedy special, those are the people that don't understand what real wealth looks like. They don't know what institution building actually entails. And to do that, you must have a vision. You must have a vision. You must have a vision that comes from your consciousness. What is your consciousness? I can tell you right now, if your consciousness does not go past next week, then you'll never have a damn thing. You'll never have real power. There's never been a powerful man or woman ever in history that didn't have somebody that had a long-term vision. Do you know that China's economic power is built on a 100-year plan that they put together 50 years ago? Do you know that? Some people can't plan for more than 2 weeks. The Japanese make 300-year plans for their companies. Do you have a 300-year plan for your family? What is your long-term plan? Or are you only planning up to Saturday night? Are you planning up to the next pay period? What is your plan, people? Because right now, things are getting tough. DEI, development, entrepreneurship, and investment. If we embrace this, that's a DEI no one can ever take from you. But if you get out here and keep falling for the okie doke, then they can pull the rug right out from under you. They slam the door shut. They remove your spot at the table, and then you're crying and whining again. I don't want to whine and cry. I don't want my children to cry. I don't want my grandchildren in pain because I failed to do the work, because I failed to have the vision. I want their lives to be better than our lives, and I know that's going to require some work. So that's my suggestion. That's my thought. Please commit to doing the work. What work are we doing? What work are you doing? What work are you doing for that baby? Because if you do the work, they're going to have a good life. If you don't do the work, then they're going to struggle. That's all I got to say, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. I want to mention that I'm going to give the State of the Union address at the Bowie State University Black Wealth Summit. I think it's February 1st or 2nd. It's on a Saturday, whatever that day is, whichever day is a Saturday. And if you want to come out, you can go to The Wealth Summit, thewealthsummit.org, and feel free to come out. I'll give you a hug, shake your hand, stuff like that. Also, if you want to join us every morning, we do financial consciousness training. We have something called a Millionaire Training Camp in the Black Business School. It's totally free. We have 170,000 students worldwide. I'm very proud of that. That's what we've been building, and that's what we've been investing in. And we have the first ever Black financial therapy department where we work with the best Black therapists to develop this, to understand the psychological barriers to building Black wealth. And in our research, we're finding that there are lots of cultural issues, there are lots of psychological issues like undiagnosed, untreated trauma that make it difficult to build wealth. So if you want to join us every morning for class for free, you can go to drboyceelevate.com, or you can also text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948 on your phone. Text morning to 87948. I'll send you an invitation. Anyway, have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. And this podcast is on Spotify.